2015 and a half Volvo XC60. Super common issue with these things that I didn't really understand until I purchased this vehicle. Purchased it used, of course, but this shifter. I don't know what year they switched to the shifter, if it was on all of the XC60s of this generation. I know at some point they switched to a ribbon cable for lighting this up. Well, unfortunately, this guy right here is pretty gross. It's cracked. There's really no coming back. I guess you can probably polish it, but not really going to be worried about that anymore because I have this. So this I ended up purchasing used, identical to it. No cracks, probably hard to see with the reflections and such being a gloss black, but compared to this original one, it's pretty cool. Also has this Polestar logo. This vehicle is Polestar tuned, being a R Design T6. Anyways, we're gonna swap this shifter out for this one. Now this one I did buy secondhand. It is missing the cable. So like I said, at some point there was a ribbon cable that provided light to it. Volvo realized that's an issue, so then they switched to a 2-wire system. This should have 2 wires on it, but I purchased this used on eBay, as is, knowing that the previous owner admitted to ripping this shifter off and ripping the wires out. So what I'm going to attempt to do today is to just take off this top section, transfer over this one, and use the existing wires inside of this one. Normally, if this had the wires attached, I would swap the whole thing, but like I said, I did buy this used. The wires are missing. But also, if you had smell-o-vision, just take a big whiff of this. Because I bought it used, for whatever reason, it smells like it's been in a smoke shop. So I think it's just smoke infused, this kind of cloth material. This, I'm not too worried about the plastic. I can just easily wipe that down. So that's kind of another reason why I'm just swapping over this plastic piece. So enough rambling. Let's go ahead and get started. So to get just this top section off, there's a couple clips. There's one up top here, 2 on either side of here, and then kind of 2 towards this lower section. So you're going to want to use some trim removal tools and just kind of work your way in here. There's one right there, one on the side, and I'll keep some upward pressure on there. Releases like such, and then the tricky part is down here. It really kind of gets stuck in there. And it needs to go like outwards. There we go. So honestly, you can kind of just use your fingernails, but I highly recommend using a trim removal tool. So here we go, in the side, and on either side is one little tab, and we got to push in both of them and then push down, and that releases this top section. And so now we have to do the exact same thing. Remove this section of this new shifter. I'm going to be extra careful here. Okay, there's this one. We'll set the smoke-infused portion of the shifter to the side. And let's see what we're working with. Okay, so yeah, so the previous owner was pretty honest about this, saying how he just kind of tugged the wires and they ripped out. And there's the original connector. And here are all the tabs in good shape. Excellent. So now we just need to plug this in. So there is a certain orientation this connector needs to go. There's a slit facing upwards. That needs to be twisted to face this PCB board, which the PCB board is this green portion, but you push it in, you should hear a nice little click, and now we should just be able to push down. But before we do that, I'm going to make sure this light works. Worst case, I'll go ahead and transfer over. This is that take 2. This is the original cracked version. So worst case, I'll go ahead, remove this PCB board and transfer over this piece. But this one appears to be relatively low miles, and it was an aftermarket accessory, so I imagine the lighting and everything should work. But we'll go ahead and test it before we push this back into place. Definitely hard to see, but it is in fact lighting up. Now, I don't know if it's a thing 2015 and a half and up because it switched to a new style instrument cluster, but whenever you select the gear, it indicates it on the instrument cluster here for an automatic transmission vehicle. It doesn't change. Say if you put it in reverse, it doesn't show a little indication that it is in reverse because it's on the instrument cluster. So the lighting ends with just kind of an ambient light, and well, that is working. So now we're good to just kind of pop that into place. But we obviously want to make sure we have all the tabs lined up where they need to go. And we'll go ahead, line up the bottom, and then kind of work our way up. And it should be pretty obvious if it's not lined up, because it won't go into place. You don't want to force it, and then if a tab's not down all the way, then there'll be a little bit of a gap there. So looks perfect. Man, that's nice. Here's that original one. Go ahead, lock that in. We'll throw it in the toolbox as a spare. That's gonna wrap it up. So here's the before with all the cracks and stuff, and then the after. Piper, what do you think? All right, Piper thinks it was well worth the investment to swap to this kind of bougie Polestar version. But either way, I'm more than pleased to get rid of this cracked old shift knob. So if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing for other content. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, drop a comment down below, and I'll catch your friends next time.